a lot of time those first dates never lead anywhere. And sometimes you just get odd because you're like, they look so good together. Hi, friends. Welcome to Typical Takes. If you are new, welcome. Nice to meet you. Get comfy. If this is not your first time, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Today we are talking about dating shows, specifically Korean and a little bit of Chinese dating shows, because they use the same formula. When I discovered dating shows, Korean dating shows specifically around like 2021, you guys, I watched so much. I watched so much. I think the first one I watched was Singles Inferno, and from there it was like downhill. I became obsessed. These shows, do they like emotionally like batter me up? Do they emotionally like beat me up? Yes. Do I disagree with a lot of decisions, actions that these cats be doing sometimes? Yes. Have I ever looked at the show and thought like, what were these people thinking? The producer, like, what were they thinking? Yes. Will I still continue watching these shows? Absolutely yes. So I'm very excited for this topic, and which is why I'm back. Because if you've been here before and you noticed I've been gone for a while, let's not get into all that drama. But like, I'm back now because I'm so excited. So if you are someone who has been thinking like, what's all these shows? Like, why are people like so upset? Like, what's the fuss about? Or you are someone who has watched like Singles Inferno, because I think Singles Inferno does like the most well. Like even among people who don't watch like K-drama stuff. If you watch Singles Inferno, you can't get into the other show. You don't know where to start. You don't know like what it's all about. You've come to the right place. Let's break it down so that let's talk about it. Before we get straight into it, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and let's go. Just get more specific and look at actual dating shows, like what makes a dating show. And I think when we're looking at that, we're going to look at other different shows, obviously. But I think we have to look at signals, because that's where it all starts from. Like this formats of today, that is like where it all began. So first of all, we're talking about cast members. So the production crew choose like cast the people that they want. These days, I'm not even sure if they put like into account who like who matches who, blah blah blah. Because we've heard people being like, oh, they did not like apply, they were like reached out to. So there's that. With numbers usually ranging from like I think 6 to like the highest I've seen is 20. I think art signal is usually like around 6, 8, 10 after they are like the catfish. And then the shows I've seen with the highest number is like Love Wins or this new Chinese dating show that I just finished watching. It's also like survival stars. So they ended up like cutting them down to like 15, but they started with 20. They all live together in the accommodation provided by the production crew. And I've seen that this accommodation like is usually in two styles. We have the first one, which is like when they live like in a house in town. Let's refer to that as like townhouse style. So in the townhouse style, they probably live like in the middle of Seoul or somewhere like that. We have that in Art Signal and Exchange. And then the second style is the vacation style, where they like go on like an island or they like travel like somewhere like where it's like out of town. And usually the townhouse style usually takes place for a longer duration, because people are allowed to like go to work during the day and then like they return to the house, and then there's like space in between to film things related to the show. While vacation style is usually like 24/7 into it. You have to be dating for your whole like 7 days, usually 12 days, maybe like 2 weeks for the vacation style. As seen in Singles Inferno, and I also think Better Late Than Single was also like that. So the cast meets each other, introduction and everything. But like a lot of information are actually kept secret from the beginning. Most of the time they can only share their name. In a show like My Sibling Romance, they don't even share their surname, because that's part of like keeping it secret of who their sibling is. And usually they can share their location where they live. But like in a show like Divorced Singles, I think season 4, that was filmed in like, is it Cancun? Do I know the name of the place? In Mexico, with Korean Americans who live in America. Their location was hidden so that it will not like form a bias. And these secret information are usually revealed like 2-3 days or like a few days after being into the house. Like one secret information party, like maybe age today, your job tomorrow, blah blah blah. And that is also another entertaining moment. And usually most shows have first impression votes. Sometimes it doesn't really like lead to a date, but like the votes usually just shows like who are people interested in, who make like first good impressions. And let's just say most of the time a single person wins. From like both genders, mostly from the female gender, you see like the guys all like vote for like one person who like meets the conventional like beauty standard the most. Sometimes if you're watching a show from the beginning and you see that, you might get discouraged thinking like, oh, we all just like one person, because the other girls are probably like also are equally as attractive. But one thing I will give to them is that as time goes on, they usually like start using their brain more, like getting to know people, and they like vote for other people more. But usually first day you just know one person is winning that. And different shows have different ways that they pair up like their first dates. In Art Signal, since it's usually filmed around December, the female guests usually provide like some kind of gift. Usually it's wrapped, or they even show it, and then the guys pick randomly, anonymously. They don't know like who the gift is from, and then the first date is matched, usually random. In Exchange, the female guests usually provide some kind of like keyword, or should we say key pictures that is usually related to like where they've been with their ex, and then the guys can like anonymously or randomly choose. Well, the guys can't choose from their ex, because they will probably be able to get that this is from their ex also. The first date is usually random, so this is where it all starts. If I'll give any advice, don't get attached at that point, because a lot of time those first dates never lead anywhere, and sometimes you just get out because you're like, they look so good together. And then we have daily votes, which among other things we have to thank Art Signal for. This is to show like where each gets like where their art is leading, what they're thinking. Usually it's an anonymous text where like the writer can decide to make it obvious, but like the show is like delivering it anonymously. And we have drama in Exchange, where like it's anonymous, but they let you know whether or not your ex sent you a text. While text messages are very common in Korean dating shows, Chinese dating shows have used like different ways to actually do this like daily votes. I've seen like handwritten letters put in like each person's like box every like night in like shows like relationship, I think. And one that I really like is like voice recording every night, which we've seen in Twinkle Love China. And also some shows use like stones, like some kind of stone that is designed for the show where they put it in like in the person like box or something. Some shows they let like each person check their box after like each vote to know how many they got, blah blah blah. And some shows they don't even do that because in Love Wins or it was like survival style, so they just calculate it and they show them like randomly when they need to know that this is the point that you have. So you don't even know how many votes you're getting per day. Then after the first date, we have like all dates that comes after different ways of matching that. In like Singles Inferno, we have like the games where the winner gets a chance to choose who they want. But this person also have to like have chosen them back. I think the most common one is when they like give a keyword of what the date is going to be, and then it's like first come first serve. Like everyone, the first person to come out can pick their keywords. If you like the person, then you can follow them or like whatnot. And we have, I don't know if that's common, but sometimes like the production like match people up. For example, when they say something like, oh, today's date is with someone you've never been on a date with, that like automatically they help like match people up. And of course, while they're like, these official dates are set up, they're like, fully filmed and all, people are allowed to like continue mingling, talking to each other. I think the best time to even do that, the best time to even get to know people is like, when it's like an unofficial date where people like, talk to each other like during the day, at night, just go for a walk together, go for coffee. They're allowed to do that, go for coffee together. This is where we can see who like getting close to, because some people, they just spend so much time together. This is when you see people like doing things for other people to show like, their feelings. I really think this is where the drama happens. This is where the drama happens. This is where the love grows. This is where the friendship grows. This is like where like everything happens. And then sometimes you just need the dates to be like, okay, to solidify it. One thing that's obviously very unique to this Korean Chinese dating show are the panels that are reacting to it. Of course, all thanks to act signals too. These panels, they're usually a make or break. Sometimes we have panels who like talk too much that people do not like. And sometimes we have panels that just get the audience and we just connect and we just love them so much for that. And then everything leads to the final voting. Different shows have like different ways of doing this final voting, but most times the girls like kind of like vote, and after making their own votes, they wait in like different locations, and then the guys like go up to like who they choose to like make it like a final confession. And then if the girl has already like chosen the person they click, or the girl can make a choice then. Usually, most dating show endings means I've gotten to know you through this past how many days, and we've gotten so close, and I want to like get more closer to you. I want to like get to know you more after the show, and they're choosing each other. But from this Chinese show that I actually just finished watching, Love Wins All, the picking each other, giving each other these tones from the show at the end of the show means you guys have started dating. They put that meaning to it. So we have people who like chose each other at the end of the show, but they did not exchange this tone because they are not ready to like go into a relationship, because it's just like, oh, we still need more time. I think putting that meaning might be a little bit of pressure, but sometimes you need to like push some people. And after the show, thinking of the success rate, I personally think C-dramas have like higher success rate than K-dramas. There are a lot of like couples from the show who are like still dating. They are married couples from shows like Addicting now. Like they met on the show and like they are married. And there are couples that like come back in like the next season to give like some kind of like encouragement to the current cast. And it's so nice. You just feel like you did not waste your time. And then thinking of going public with their relationship. I mean, if I personally watch you on like a dating show get together, I kind of want to know if you're still together or you're broken up. I don't really want to know like what you're doing with your life that much. But I want to know if you guys are like together. But the pressure can become too much. People like start judging, start thinking like they're part of the relationship. So a lot of people like choose to like keep it. But I kind of just want to know if you're dating. I don't want to know the details, okay? Please tell me. But no pressure. And then one thing that I love most about these dating shows, most times, is the friendship that comes out of it. It's so beautiful. Most people don't find love, but I think everybody like finds friendship from these shows, which kind of leads me to this influencer culture that is like part of dating shows now, where it makes it like very like, is this person just on this show to like find fame, or are they here to find love? Because after the show, people are like interested in like people's individual like lives and their friendships and their relationships, and people have also realized that once they give that, they can suddenly have a job from this. So it kind of takes away from the whole show these days. And this is the format that like almost all Korean dating shows these days use. Every like producing company these days just take from this format, all thanks to Art Signal, and they like make it their own. So let's talk about like some popular shows and like what spin they've put on it. Again, we have Art Signal, the OG. There's like 4 seasons. The first season came out in 2017. I think this is where it all started. There's like 4 seasons. I don't know if there's any couple from that show still together, but there's like so much controversy from that show that at one point I thought they cancelled it, and then they brought in Art PN, which is kind of the same thing as Art Signal, just that the cast are supposed to be ready for marriage. I don't get like what the point is. I haven't watched Art Signal because I couldn't find where to watch it. And then we have the Chinese counterpart, Art Signal, which started like a year after the Korean one, 2018, but somehow has 8 seasons so far. And that show is actually highly successful because I know of like a few couples, maybe like 2 if I'm correct, that married from that show, and like even maybe more that's still together. So I think Art Signal China is like very successful. The next show that I think comes after Art Signal is Love Catcher, and Love Catcher puts a spin on it where it's like people choose whether to be love catcher or money catcher at the beginning of the show. Love Catcher's main goal is to like match with another love catcher and fall in love, while money catcher believes they cannot find love because I think it's usually like a week or two they cannot find love, so they want to match with a love catcher, convince a love catcher that they are not a money catcher, and then they get to win like $50,000. So is it that you win love or you win betrayal? There's only 4 seasons, and I don't know why it ended because it was such a good show. And I like the activities that they do on this show. They like mix people up so that people get the opportunity to talk and mingle with like different people. Then we have Singles Inferno. Singles Inferno started in 2021 and is like at season 5. So I think Singles Inferno is like pretty consistent. They release around like December into January of like every year. So like, they've been strong. And it's like quite the most popular right now because it's for hot people. It's as simple as that. People don't really believe that you can find love with Singles Inferno because of the job and like how much they're like kind of like selling these people are out. You're not sure if they're like trying to find love. But this season has been great because I think we have two couples that might still be together. Again, they're keeping it to themselves. But like, it's good to know that if these two people are still together. And thanks to Mina, so this season was quite dramatic, quite interesting because the season before that, people were already thinking, okay, I think this is the end because it was just the editing, the picking main character and the editing around them thing, it was almost ruining everything. And then we have Exchange, where ex-couples go into the house together and then they start acting so that each other can guess who's like the next person's ex. The whole point is, are you going to get back together with your ex if you are placed in this situation, or like will you meet someone new and move on? Let's just say this show calls for so much drama, so much emotional stress and social experiment because you can easily like put like yourself in their shoes and think, what will you do in this situation? Because it's also long, you get to like be like involved with them longer compared to like Singles Inferno. I have a whole video dedicated to Exchange because Exchange is just such like a strong show. The concept, everything that comes out of it is just so strong. Check out the video. There's actually a similar show called Change Days, which has only 2 seasons, and this is where like people are these contestants are actually couples, not like ex-couples, couples who are like on the verge of breaking up, like they might break up. Then they come on this show and they kind of like mingle with other people too, but like you are still dating this person, so you have to be very careful. At the end of the show, do you think is worth meeting new people, or like you go back together with your partner? This one only has 2 seasons, and I don't know, maybe it was too controversial, is why they stopped. And then we have Love After Divorce, which I would say is the most successful Korean dating show because there are a lot of married couples from that show. It's a show that brings people who are like divorced, not divorced from each other, just divorcees. So everybody in the show is like divorcee, they share like Nigeria reason for divorce. And this one is like kind of more serious because there might be kids involved, and they usually spend like 1 week as like the normal dating show. You get to know someone, and then it's like 3 weeks after that first part, there's a second part where people like kind of cohabitate together, just like the couple that chose each other. It's like they kind of make being married for like maybe a week, and like their kids might be involved, their family might be involved. So I think it makes it more serious for them. And we have like at least 2 couples from this show that are married with kids, and then we have a few others that are still dating. I think this show is like one of the most successful. One new addition to the club, Better Late Than Single, that brings together people who are like in their 20s but have never been in a relationship, and it's just filled with so much like innocence, so much clumsiness. And this one season that they dropped like drains out so much, but it was like so fun. I also did a little video on Better Late Than Single because when we watched it, we were all stressing. Check it out, I'll link it here too. And there's actually a Chinese version of it called So In Love. I think there's only 1 season of that too, and that one was, oh my god, I think that one was for people who have never been in a relationship, but like they were, I think, much younger, so it was much stressful. They were so emotionally close, they didn't know what they were doing, and I was stressing. And then we have My Sibling Romance, which is kind of from the process of exchange, bring people into the house, siblings pretending like they're not each other's siblings, kind of just to like push your sibling, maybe help your sibling to like get them to like form a relationship with someone. It only has 1 season, and that's because it was like very traumatic. There was like so much going on at the end of that show that everybody was so stressed. But I think there's going to be a season 2 soon. And then the show itself has like so much cool people on the cast. But even though few people like kind of traumatized us, it was okay. And then there's the Chinese version, which I actually love so much. I mean, I love the romantic relationship that come from that show. But one thing that I love from that show was like the growth relationship between the siblings. I think it's like really interesting. And then there's actually another version in Chinese version called Dear Dearest, where this one you don't have to be sibling, you could be cousin, you could be like mostly cousins, kind of like the same thing. And then we have 1920, which brings kids that are like 19 turning 20. I think Korean age, but international maybe 2018. They're like, first part of the show, they're supposed to be like in school, learning the things that will be useful for them in real life. They're not supposed to be dating. I don't think they learned anything, but Then the second part, they like also collaborate for like a week, and then that's where like people's feelings start growing. And we have like this couple from the show that's still together. I think the show is like 2021 or something. But this couple, no, maybe like 2023. This couple, they're still together, like because they met so young and they've been like so mature, like going through it. And I don't even think people are like too much like because everybody just happy to see them together, And then there's like actually something I think is a Chinese version of it called Twinkle Love. This actually has like 5. I think the 5th season is airing right now. This is about kids that are like finishing their university and like getting into like real life. It also has this kind of like innocence, genuineness to it. And I know there are like a few couples from that show that probably sit together because they're young. I don't expect them to be married or anything. And honestly, on this note, we have like so much show that we don't have time to talk about it. If you guys want, I can like make another video, just listen a bunch of Korean dating shows because there's so much like twists and turns and uniqueness that like the producers bring into it. We have the one with Nuna, You're a Woman to Me, where all the women are older than the younger guys. Just very cute. But if I talk about like the main thing, like what makes of the show, and like as time are going, there's something that just keeps doubting the sincerity of the show, that makes us doubt the sincerity of the show. Sometimes people think about the time, they're like, no, you can't find love in 2 weeks. They just know each other for these days. I personally think the point is to become like a sped run situationship. So it's not like you're asked to get married after. It's just like kind of put your mind into it and get to know these people in this short amount of time instead of like wasting all over time. Because if people look too much at the time and be like it's too short, what's the point of the whole show? I know there's all this, are they here for popularity or are they here for love? And we can't answer that. We just hope they're for love, I guess. And the way they edit the show, like I said, the main character thing, and then they edit it around them, and just like kind of annoying to watch. I think the whole point is just like, no, watch it. It's just a show, because they're still at the end of the day, they're going to try to, like, if it's not dramatic, if it's not entertaining, you won't want to watch it. And then, once in a while, we are lucky to see, like, a couple, a parent that just looks like they're finding like actual genuine connection on screen. I know that kind of thing just gives a little boost of, maybe there's still love in this, in this world, it's giving K drama, just kind of things. And of course, every season of every show, we have the characters, the individuals that were like, no, this person was crazy, they must have lost their mind. And when you're at home watching it by yourself or like with your friends, it's very fun to, like, crash out at them, judge them and everything. Like, you go queen, but like only go in your house with your friend. Don't go online and give like it comment to people. Seriously. People need to stop doing that, because these people, they are reacting to these things, they kind of like, with like immediate effect. They're not thinking it or planning it, and sometimes they plan it, you're like, what are you thinking? And people are allowed to make mistakes. Don't just judge someone's whole life because of that kind of thing. And also, when you find someone like me who's going to, like, talk about it with you, it's just like, a good time, a good dopamine boost at the end of the day. And shows like Exchange and more shows where you find people, you just relate to them so much, because like maybe they're going through so much and you just like empathize with them, and that part of the show is just so sweet. And also, we have people who like just start diagnosing them with some kind of mental whatever. Like, okay, fighting, stop doing that. And there's also drama to it. I mean, yeah, it's not as like loud as like Western show where they're like physically fighting and stuff like that. But like the little things matter. Yeah, you guys, we know that this little side eye, the little snide remark, like just a little times of passive aggression, and we are all feeling it. Like I feel like there's more to that, because it just eats so much, because so much is being said, like such little action. And that's why we are like also obsessed with this show. Now you know the formula, you know how it works. I hope I've been able to help you to think of like, where to start. And you guys thinking of the formula. If you are like to like cook up your own dating show from this like, popular format, like what show do you think you're going to cook up? Now I'm also thinking my wheels are turning. I'm going to come back with it next time, but I think I'm going to like I'm going to write like a whole freaking story. I hope I have helped you narrow down what to watch next. Let me know what you decide, or like what are you currently watching if you're already like into it. As for me, I don't have anything right now. I'm looking forward to maybe Better Late Than Single season 2, maybe My Sibling Romance season 2, and also I think Art Signal is coming back for season 5. I don't know what they're doing. If you've been with me till the end, thank you so much, love. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, consider subscribing. So watch responsibly, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.